Hey runners, happy Monday. It's June 12th. We are rolling along here in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. It is Monday. Um, wow. Well, I hope you guys had a great weekend. Lots to share of what took place over the weekend. My wife and I had a race that we did here locally. And yeah, excited to tell you how that all played out. But thanks for tuning in, and hope you guys had a good weekend. I'm interested to hear, what did you guys do over the weekend? How was the weather? Did you have a race, or training runs, or just took it easy? So yeah, let you know we had a race. So over the summer, from May to August, a couple companies here locally, some running groups, have races they put on, and they're short races, 5Ks, mainly due to the heat out here. It goes without saying that Phoenix is hot, but it doesn't mean that we can't race. Doing it smart, of course, just keeping us in shape. Not losing fitness, and for those of us that really just want to use it for, like I mentioned, for fitness, maintaining some resemblance of training as we go through summer, so that when the racing season hits in late September, October, and so on, we don't have to play catch up. So that being said, one of the companies out here is Arizona Roadracers. They do a fantastic job of putting on races throughout the year, and they do 5 of these, what they call summer series races. The first one started in mid-May, and the second one took place yesterday, Sunday, the 11th. It was over in Gilbert, which is a town not too far from us, about 15-20 miles east. Really nice community, great places to run, and it was held at a park called Riparian, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, or Riparian Park. It's got like a pond or a little lake out there with wildlife, nice little paths and trails that people can walk on, ride their bikes, and then there's a canal that runs outside of it, that's either dirt or paved path. So it's really nice to have some options. So I'll tell you how that went, and let you know how I did. Just kind of looking at my results up here, on how that race went. So again, this was the summer series number 2, and my wife and I did that. And the way they did this race is, so the race started at 6:30, and we usually like to get there 45 minutes, sometimes an hour early. We had to pick up our race bib, get a little shakeout or warm-up run in of a mile, and just kind of scope out the area, see some friends, and then boom, gun goes off and we're ready to roll. So the race was set up where there was a wave start. For those of you who are not familiar with wave starts, it's designed to allow different groups to go at staggered times. Sometimes it's 10 seconds, 15, 30, something like that, just so that on a course like this, where it can be a little crowded, we don't have a lot of bunching up that takes place. Because if we would have all gone at the same time, I don't know how, there was about 417. I know that exact because I know where I finished out of that number. It would have been, it would have been a cluster F. You know what I'm saying? So it would have been not so fun for a lot of people. So the first group was sub 6, definitely not in my wheelhouse. Then there was a sub 7-ish group, and then there was like the sub 8. So I put myself in that sub 8 category. I'm pretty close to that. Usually I'm running either just at under 8 or just over, depending upon how I'm feeling that day. So we lined up, and a friend of ours who lives in the neighborhood here, she likes to go faster, and at least starts out fast, and wanted to go in the second group, which is a sub 7. Well, she's by no means a sub 7 runner, and neither am I. So I know that I'm just going to get dusted, and I don't like the feeling of just getting passed by people. It doesn't play well for me mentally. I mean, it has no advantage for me. But she wanted to go in there, and I said, go for it and have a good race. My wife was in the first group, the sub 6, which she's not running that fast. However, if you want to win, um, your medal or placing overall top 3 on the podium, it's gun time. So there are only a couple women in that wave. So her, another friend, and this other girl um, took off on the first wave. And so it kind of winds through this little park that's dirt, and it gets on a sidewalk or path, and then it goes out there for a little bit and it comes back in. I didn't know what to expect, but I had a plan, and my plan yesterday was to go out maybe slightly over 8 or close to that pace, and then start to dial it back a little bit and get a little quicker. You know, that first mile will let me know kind of where I'm at, but really that second mile for me seems to, or at least I've done a better job recently, but that second mile used to really be the slowest mile for me, and I lost a lot on that mile. So we started out, and the first like quarter mile, you're feeling good. I'm probably doing 7:30, and then after that I start to ease into it, and I'm doing about a 7:47 to 7:48 pace. I'm looking at my watch, and I know I look at it too much, but I'm just trying to see how I'm feeling. Is it in line with what I'm trying to do? Can I sustain this for the 5K? So I think around close to 6/10 or 3/4 of a mile, I see our friend Wendy, who was starting in the wave in front of us. So I go by her and I, encourage her, go Wendy. But I wasn't about ready to slow down because I was feeling pretty good at this point and wanted to keep going. So my first mile, I came in at 7:48. I think it was like 7:47 and change. But anyway, 7:48. I felt good. Um, Shortly after, I saw my wife, who was running in second place for females, and she was probably only maybe 5-6 seconds behind another friend of ours, Tracy, who was leading. I knew it was going to be a good race between the two of them. They're very competitive. So I'm getting on the canal, and I turn around, and I'm feeling good, and I'm wondering, wow, normally at this point, I'm really dying. Now, a 5K, it's not a 200-meter sprint, but it's definitely you're definitely getting anaerobic with that aerobic in there. You're pushing it hard. I'm not necessarily redlining it, but I am pushing pretty hard, and I'm feeling good. The weather was like upper 60s when we started, which is incredibly cool for June in Phoenix. So everything was clicking. However, at the first mile, we saw the mile marker, and I looked at my watch and it said 1.1. And I thought, in races, when you see the mile marker, sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. And at the end of the race, it kind of, evens out and it's the true distance. The second mile, I clocked in at 7:48, so I was right on par. I was feeling good. But the second mile, my watch said 2.1. So I thought to myself, this might be a long course, or it'll be right on, and they're just off on their first 2 markers. So we go into this little area at like 1.6, and we make a right turn. It goes down because they're making up some distance, and then we do a little turnaround. When we get back out there and back out onto the canal, I want to say it was about 1.885, and I'm looking straight ahead to the left, and I know we are definitely farther than 0.2 of a mile. So I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be a long course. But don't worry, run it like it's going to be an even course. We get to 3 miles, and I clock in at 7:50, a tad slower, but I'm right there. I know I've got a little kick at the end, and I finished strong. I ran 2 minutes and 12 seconds for 0.32, so just a little bit longer than 500 meters, a 6:47 pace, which was good. I finished strong. I think I could have had a little bit more of a kick, but I just didn't have it. I ended up finishing 25:39. However, it was long. A lot of people we spoke to had either 3.3 to 3.4, and even the organizer of the event, the person who used the wheel to measure, was baffled. He thought he had it right on. And these guys do a fantastic job, Arizona Road Racers. They are like right on. So this is just, an outlier for this race. But my average was 7:44. So when I actually average it out, I would have run a 24:02 race. So I'm happy about that because when I looked at my watch at the 1.55, I like to look at the halfway mark to see how I'm progressing. I want to try to run even to a little quicker split. I was at 12:03, which would have put me at 24:06. So I ran a quicker second half, barely, but I did, and I felt good about it. The time is out the window. I know I didn't run a 25. Actually, they said 25:37, but I know what I'm capable of. The important thing is I felt really good. Yeah, everything was clicking, and my wife, she won the race. I think she ran a 2014, which is a little slower than she normally races. But, as mentioned in previous videos, last November she had a really bad injury on her back, and she's been progressing and running without any pain. So, now it's just a matter of dialing in that fitness. So it was really good to see her. I think she had passed Tracy, who's a very strong runner as well. I want to say in the last half mile or something like that. So, anyways, yeah, it was fantastic all around. So I had a great race. That basically made our day, and I'm pretty consistent. I want to say when it comes to the 5K, I want to say I'm within 30 seconds, 30 to 40 seconds. I'm more in the 24 minutes than I am the 23. But most of the times, if you say, I'll run like low 24s to maybe 24:30, chances are I'll cover that. So now it's just a matter of me breaking 24, which I've done in the past, and knowing if this was a 5K race that I would have run a 24:02, I definitely can break that 24. And then now it's just, holding that and being in the 23s and, running that next level, if you will, and I guess feeling the extra hurt in there, the pain. So, yeah, it was great. Thanks to all the volunteers who were out there, and some of the friends that we saw at the race. Just made it for a fantastic day. And this is in basically the second week, the 11th of June that the race was held. Typically, the lows are in the upper 70s to 80s. We were in the upper 60s. It's been a cool start to really June and early summer. However, this weekend, yeah, we're going to be like 106, 107, so we'll be catching up quickly. But we enjoyed it, so excited. And now we focus our attention on the mile race, which we're planning to do on the 4th of July in Flagstaff, Arizona. For those of you who are runners, follow the sport, Flagstaff is a hotbed for elite runners due to the elevation, the cool temperatures. It's like 7,000 feet. We did the mile race last July, and I ran it in 7:17. Typically, I can run a little bit faster. I think when I did it, a mile race earlier in the year, I had run 7:07, and the what do you call it? I'm losing my train of thought. The time for elevation, kind of graded race, would put me pretty close at 7:17. So a lot of factors came into play that year. Last year, we were coming off of a great spring heading into summer. I ran a low 23, I think 23:06 or something like that. Really close to sub 23 for a 5K out in Carlsbad, and had a fantastic run down in Tucson in June that was like in the mid 90s in the evening. Still ran well. I think I ran that one in just under 24. And so, we were coming off of that and still had fitness. This year, I would love to be able to run 7:17 and tie that, but I'm going to give myself a little bit of a buffer and say, as of now, with about 3 weeks to go, a 7:25 to no more than 7:30 is kind of where I'm at. but we'll see. I've got a couple workouts, speed workouts lined up for the next couple weeks. Tomorrow I'll be doing a 2x200, 2x800, and then a 2x200, all at mile pace. I'm shooting for the mile pace like 7:10 just to see how my body feels, especially that 800. I've got two of those. I'm gonna see how I feel. If and I'm not running at a track. I'm running it on the roads here, so most of those will probably be flat to downhill a little bit. So I should feel better, I guess, than on flats, right? Just to give myself a little bit of confidence and kind of see where I'm at. So I know last year when I was doing an 800, I want to say I was running close to 70. Was it 709, something like that. So this will be a good test tomorrow to see. But yeah, fantastic weekend. Let me know how you guys are doing. What are you training for? Do you have any summer races? Are you traveling anywhere? We're not doing much traveling other than Flagstaff, and then we'll get ready for the fall races and then do some local stuff here. So yeah, interested to hear. And thanks again for watching the video all the way to the end. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you like what you see. And thanks again, guys, for watching. Have a great week. Take care.